Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. Chapter 13. Good thing I got a strong stomach. Carl and Rosalie were off in a flash, darting upstairs. I could hear them debating whether they should warm it up for her. Ugh. I wondered what the other house of horror stuff they kept around here. Fridge full of blood, check. What else? Torture chamber? Coffin room? Edward stayed, holding Bella's hand. His face was dead again. He didn't have the energy to keep up even that little bit of hope he'd had before. They stared into each other's eyes, but not in a gooey way. It was like they were having a conversation. Kind of reminded me of Sam and Emily. And it wasn't gooey, but that was only a bit harder to watch. I knew it was like for Leah having to see that all the time, having to hear it in Sam's head. Of course we all felt bad for her. We weren't monsters in that sense anyway. But I guess we blamed her for how she handled it, lashing out at everyone, trying to make us all as miserable as she was. I'll never blame her again. How can anyone help spreading this kind of misery around? How can anyone not try and ease up some of the burden by shoving a little piece of it off on somebody else? And if that meant that I had to have a pack, how could I blame her for taking my freedom? I would do the same. If there was no way to escape this pain, I'd take it too. Rosie's ass was downstairs after a second, flying through the room like a sharp breeze, stirring up a burning smell. She stopped by inside the kitchen and heard the creak of a cupboard door. Not clear, Rosalie, Edward murmured. He rolled his eyes. Bella looked curious, but Edward shook his head just at her. Rosie breathed back through the room and disappeared again. This was your idea, Bella whispered, her voice as rough as she strained to make it loud enough for me to hear, forgetting that I could hear just fine. I kind of liked how a lot of the time she seemed to forget that I wasn't completely human. I moved closer so it would have to work so hard. Don't blame me for this when your vampire was just picking aside comments out of my head. She smiled a little. I didn't expect to see you again. Yeah, me neither, I said. It felt weird just standing here, but the vampires had shoved all the furniture out the way for the medical setup. I imagine that didn't bother them. Sitting or standing didn't make much difference when you were stone. It didn't bother me much either, except that I was so exhausted. Edward told me what we had to do. I'm sorry. It's okay. It was probably only a matter of time until I stepped over something Sam wanted me to do. I lied. And Seth, she whispered. He's actually happy to help. I hate causing trouble. She laughed once, more a bark than a laugh. She breathed a faint laugh, a faint sigh. I guess that's nothing new, is it? No, not really. You don't have to stay and watch this, she said, barely mouthing the words. I could leave. It was probably a good idea, but if I did, with the way she looked right now, I could be missing the last 15 minutes of her life. I don't really have anywhere else to go, I told her, trying to keep the emotion out of my voice. The wolf thing was a lot less appealing since Leah joined up. Leah, she gasped. You didn't tell her, I asked Edward. He just shrugged without moving his eyes from her face. I could see it wasn't really exciting news to him, not something worth sharing with more important events that were going down. Bella didn't take it so lightly. It looked like it was bad news to her. Why? She breathed. I don't want to get into the whole novel-length version to keep an eye on Seth. But Leah hates us, she whispered. Us. Nice. I could see that she was afraid, though. Leah's not going to bug anyone but me. She's in my pack. I grimaced at the words, so she follows my lead. Ugh. Bella didn't look convinced. You're scared of Leah, but your best person is psychopath blonde. There's a low hiss on the second floor. Cool, she heard me. Bella frowned. Don't. Rose understands. Yeah, I grunted. She understands you're going to die and she doesn't care, as long as she gets her mutant spawn out of the deal. Stop being a jerk, Jacob, she whispered. She looked too weak to get mad at. I tried to smile and said, You feel it's like it's possible. Bella tried not to smile for a second, but she couldn't help it in the end. Her chalky lips pulled up at the corners, and then Carl and the psycho in question were there. Carl had a white plastic cup in his hand, the kind of lid in a bendy straw. Oh, not clear. Now I got it. I didn't want Bella to think about what she was doing any more than necessary. You couldn't see what was in the cup. You couldn't see what was in the cup at all, but I could smell it. Carl hesitated, and the hand with the cup half extended. Bella eyed it, looking scared again. We could try another method, Carla said quietly. No, Bella whispered. I'll try this first. We don't have time. At first I thought she'd finally gotten a clue and all the way about herself, and her hand fluttered feebly against her stomach. Bella reached out and took the cup from him. Her hand shook a little, and I could hear the sloshing from inside. She tried to prop herself up on one elbow, but she could barely lift her head. A whisper of heat brushed down my spine as I saw how frail she'd gotten in the less than a day. Rosie put her arm under Bella's shoulder, supporting her head too, like you did with a newborn. Blondie was all about the babies. Thanks, Bella whispered. Her eyes flickered at us. Still aware enough to feel self-conscious. If she wasn't so dry, I bet she would have blushed. Don't mind them, Rosalie murmured. It made me feel awkward. I should have left when Violet offered the chance. I didn't belong here, being a part of this. I thought about ducking out, but then I realised a move like that would only make this worse for Bella, make it harder for her to go through with it. That she figured I'd be too disgusted to stay, which still was true. Still, while I wasn't going to claim responsibility for this idea, I didn't want to jinx it either. Bella lifted the cup to her face and sniffed at the end of the straw. She flinched and then made a face. Bella, sweetheart, we can find an easier way, Edward said, holding his hand out for the cup. Plug your nose, Rosalie suggested. She glared at Edward's hand like she might take a snap at it. I wish she would. I bet Edward would take that sitting down, or I'd love to see Blondie lose a limb. No, that's not it. It's just that Bella stopped on a deep breath. It smells good, she admitted in a tiny voice. I swallowed hard, fighting to keep the disgust off my face. That's a good thing, Rosie told Bella eagerly. That means we're on the right track. Give it a try. Given Blondie's new expression, I suppose she didn't break into touchdown dance. Bella shoved the straw between her lips and squeezed her eyes shut and wrinkled her nose. I could hear the blood slopping out in the cup again as her hand shook. She sipped at it for a second and moaned quietly with her eyes still closed. Edward and I stepped forward at the same time. She touched her face. I clenched my hands behind my back. Bella, love. I'm okay, she whispered. She opened her eyes and sighted up at him. Her expression was apologetic, pleading, scared. It tastes good too. I said, churned in my stomach, starting to overflow. I ground my teeth together. That's good, Blondie repeated, still jazzed. A good sign. Edward just pressed his hand into her cheek, curling his fingers around the shape of her fragile bones. Bella sighed and put her lips to the straw again. She took a real pull this time. The action wasn't as weak as everything else about her, like as if instinct was taking over. How's your stomach? Do you feel nauseated? Carlisle asked. Bella shook her head. No, I don't feel sick, she whispered. That's the first day. Rosalie beamed. Excellent. I think it's a bit early for that, Rose, Carlisle murmured. Bella got to one mouthful of blood, then she flashed a look at Edward. Does this screw my total? She whispered. Or do we start counting after I'm vampire?